Hey guys, we're back with some more whitetail content, and in today's video we're going to be talking about frost seeding, kind of the ins and outs. If you guys are new to the channel and like what you see, please consider subscribing and giving us a thumbs up. So when it comes to this whitetail habitat work, one of my favorite things to do is, besides hunting, is putting in food plots and designing food plots, to figuring out what kind of seeds I'm going to go with this year. But one of the cool things about putting in food plots is the ability to frost seed. And what is frost seeding? Well, frost seeding really is nature's way of reseeding. So what we're going to be doing here is frost seeding an existing clover stand. But if we were going to try to let nature do it, or how nature would do it on her own, is the clover would grow in the fall. It would grow a white flower, depending on the type of clover. But then the white flower would then fall off and then lay on the ground over the winter. The snow would pile on, the ice would push it down, it would rain, it would kind of drive that seed to the ground. And then in the spring, when everything melts and thaws out, there's going to be a period of time where it's above freezing in the afternoon, and then at night it goes down below freezing. That's called the freeze-thaw cycle. And during that time, the ground moves a lot, and there's a lot of cracks that are created in the dirt, and then that small seed will then fall into those small cracks. And so that's how nature reseeds on her own. And so what we're going to be doing today with frost seeding is we're going to be putting down the clover seeds during the freeze-thaw cycle to take advantage of the cracking dirt when the seeds get pulled into the soil, when nature is doing it naturally. There's really not a lot to it. Depending on where you live, the timing is going to be a little different. But what you want to do, for me in Michigan, around the end of February, I kind of go to the weather app or weather website and go to the forecast, and I look to see when is the temperature going to be above freezing in the afternoon and then below freezing at night. So I think right now, I might get this wrong, but it's in the 40s during the day, and at night it dips down into the 20s. And so that's not really uncommon for this time of year, and that's a perfect time to frost seed. A couple things to think about when you're frost seeding. One is the seeding rate. When I'm frost seeding, I like to go a little heavier on the seed than normal. So just for easy math, if I'm going to be seeding a clover plot, and let's say the ladino clover calls for 10 pounds per acre, I'm going to be seeding it 1.5 times. So then I would use 15 pounds per acre of ladino clover seeds. If this was a new stand of ladino clover that I wanted to put in, I would be putting in 20 pounds per acre if the seeding rate called for 10. If I'm doing an existing stand, 1.5 times, new stand, 2 times. And the reason for that is the seeds are going to be sitting on top of the ground for a while. And so there's a lot of opportunity for the local wildlife, birds in particular, to come in and steal your seeds. And if you're not really on flat ground, if you more of a slope, and if you get a heavy rain, some of those seeds can get washed away. So in order to make sure that you have a good stand of clover or whatever you're planting, I like to go a little heavier with my seeding application. Another thing you have to kind of look out for or be careful with to ensure success when you're frost seeding is the type of seeds that you're using. I really like to frost seed clover seeds because they're very small. When the ground is cracking during the freeze-thaw cycle, it's not making big cracks. It's making very small cracks for those small seeds to make their way in. Like you're not going to be able to get big seeds in. Those big seeds are going to stay on top, and most likely all the birds and the wildlife are going to come and eat those seeds. So you really want to focus on small seeds. That's why a lot of people frost seed clover plots. Another type of seed that works very well with frost seeding is switchgrass. It's a small seed, it's a hard seed, and if frost seeded, you can have great germination results and have a great stand of switchgrass. The biggest difference between frost seeding clover and frost seeding switchgrass is kind of the preparation of the site beforehand. So with clover, you don't really need to do a lot of preparation if you're frost seeding it into an existing stand. You want to have exposed dirt, so you don't want to have a bunch of leaves on your plot. But if you have an existing stand of clover, you can go and frost seed that stand of clover. You don't have to really worry about much. The clover is going to get pulled into the dirt, it's going to germinate with the other clover, and it's going to grow. With switchgrass, the site preparation really needs to take place the fall before. So switchgrass is not going to germinate right away like clover. Switchgrass is going to take a little bit longer to germinate, and because of that, you're going to have other plants growing before the switchgrass. So what you need to do with switchgrass in order to have success frost seeding it is treat the area you want to plant switchgrass in the fall before, kill the weeds, kill the grasses, and then in the spring, like right now, instead of having it green like this, you're going to have just bare dirt. And then when you seed your switchgrass and it starts to germinate, it's not going to have as much competition, because that's one of the biggest things with switchgrass is it germinates later and it's a slower grower at first. So you need to kind of help it out in the beginning. With clover, I mean, if any of you know with trying to get it out of your yard, it's going to grow like crazy. So you don't really need as much site preparation with clover, as long as you had the leaves off the plot, you followed your soil test and things like that. What's really cool about frost seeding is that anybody can do it. There's not really any excuse why you can't get out there and frost seed. It doesn't require any equipment whatsoever. There are things that make it easier, like if you had a over-the-shoulder seed spreader, or if you had even one of those hand crank spreaders, that will make the application more even throughout your plot. But you don't even really need that. You could just walk up and down and kind of throw your seeds down. That's what makes this method so efficient for those hidey hole plots, those poor man plots, whatever you want to call them, deep in the woods where you can't get any equipment in. Frost seeding is a great way to kind of give your plot a jump start for that season. So that's basically it for frost seeding. Hopefully you guys learned something, but I'm gonna go get my little helper and we're gonna go frost seed some food plots. Again, if you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing and giving us a thumbs up. And since you're all frost seeding experts now, I don't want to hear any excuses on why you don't have a beautiful clover plot to hunt over this fall.